Hello everybody and welcome to Gingereno 42's Let's Play of Pillars of Eternity. I'm Eric, otherwise known as Gingereno, and I'm really happy you guys are here with me today. I started this Let's Play for anyone who is super hyped about Avowed and want to get into the world of Eora, which is the name of the world that Avowed's going to be played in, as well as Pillars of Eternity. But, you know, the Pillars games are just not their style. They're not into the CRPG inventory management side of things, or maybe they find it intimidating. Hey, that's totally fine. I get it. I honestly did not like these games when I first played them, but it was a promise made to a friend that made me stick with it, and I do like them now. So, I mean, hopefully anyone watching this or anyone thinking about it does get into it down the road, but if you don't, that's fine. There's only so many hours and minutes in the world. Don't spend it playing games that you don't think you're going to enjoy, all right? So this Let's Play is mainly for you out there who want to learn more about the world but don't want to play the games. So as a result, this is going to be mainly a critical path Let's Play. I mostly am going to be looking at the lore for the main story and exploring the stuff that isn't just the critical path of the game. I'm not planning to explore the side quests in depth. Perhaps at the end of this Let's Play, once the story is concluded, I'll go back and I'll mop up some of those side quests for those of you who want to explore, because there's a lot of lore in there as well. As a quick side note, I have left developer commentary on for those interested. You will see a little flag that comes up, or a scroll, I guess, on the top right corner. When that appears, developer commentary will happen. Some of it is spoilery for the story, but I mean, we're going to learn a lot of the spoilers anyways. If you don't want to hear the developer commentary, just skip ahead a little bit on your scrolly thing for whatever you're watching this on, which probably YouTube, until that scroll goes away. For now, let's just dive into today's episode. Alright, here we are. I got my little troop of people here.
What is it?
That's me, the person in the middle with the fire hair. We just finished talking to Lady Webb here about what we learned in one of the... what is it? The Cleobon Relag, I believe it is. Yeah, here. We have a... Cleobon Relag, which is an Engwithan site, Engwithan being the ancient civilization of peoples that are no longer here. We explored this because my main character here, he is become a watcher, which is great in some ways, but it also means he's going slowly insane. So we're on the trail of this person that we met at the very start of the game to try to see if we can get this resolved. We followed the trail to Cleobon Relag, where we learned essentially that this man and the Leaden Key, a group of people that he is in charge of, are essentially engineering the Hollowborn crisis, which is a crisis that is affecting all of Deerwood right now, and possibly outside of Deerwood, where children are being born without souls. And most people don't understand why. A lot of people assume it's because of something called the Saints' War and the destruction of the god Aethys, which is another thing in the lore that we can get into as we see it unfold. But your character, we have just learned that it is actually the machinations of the Leaden Key and this person named Theos that is activating these ancient Engwithan machines that are sucking the souls out of people in the vicinity. So, why exactly?
Hey.
We're going to find out as we play the game. Before we get started, I like to just take a quick moment to dive into the Cyclopedia and look at the little bit of the lore, the deities, or the bestiaria. Just look at something about the game so we can get a little bit of understanding about what's going on. So, I'm going to, let's look here. We've looked a lot at the things there. Maybe some of the deities we haven't talked about. Yeah, you know what? Let's look at one of the deities today. Now, I believe we've talked about a bunch of them, and I just mentioned Aethys. And I've talked about Aethys before, but it's been a while, so let us discuss him now. This is the deity Aethys, one of the 11 gods in the world of Eora. Aethys is the god of rebirth, redemption, dawn, spring, and light, traditionally shown as a man bearing a candle and wearing a silver crown, believed to have possessed the body of the Rayed salmon farmer Widewind during the Saints' War, and been destroyed along with Widewind at the end of the war. So there's a lot going on here that we are not privy to with this little blurb. I'll give you a little history right here. These are the things that Aethys is the god of: rebirth, redemption, dawn, spring, and light. So anything involving redemption or dawn and dusk and light is what Aethys is the god of. He's one of the more token good gods, if you had to pick who was good and who was bad, that being a relative term, I suppose. And he has a very involved history, recent history, with the world of Eora, especially in the Deerwood. There is a location in the world called Rayed Saris. Rayed Saris is just a little bit north of Deerwood, actually, the area that this game is being played in. And it is a theocracy. It is a religiously state-run location, and they are all basically Aethasian worshippers. And it is believed that the god Aethys entered into the body of a farmer named Widewin. And occupying Widewin's body, Aethys led people from Rayed Saris into the Deerwood, something called the Saints' War. In an effort to combat this, there was a bunch of Magran priests, Magran being another god in this world of Era, that created a bomb that supposedly destroyed Widewin, and inside Widewin's body destroyed Aethys as well. So as far as everyone's concerned, everyone believes that Aethys, the god, has been killed by this Godhammer bomb developed by Magranite priests when they blew up Widewin. So people who follow Aethys are not very popular in this region of the world,
right, then.
or in this history right now. So we are... Where are we going next, actually? So we are going to do... We have to get invited to one of the Animancy hearings, that's right. Because of everything we've learned about the Leaden Key, we're wanting to have the local government do something about it. But in order to get invited to an Animancy hearing, where we can be heard, we need to be sponsored by one of the three factions in the city that we're currently in. Now, we can go with the Knights of the Crucible, or House Dominel, or the Dozens. Since we've already interacted with the Knights of the Crucible, I'm going to go with them. Just because I'm most familiar with them, and also that way it leaves it open for you guys as you want to play the game, if you want to play the game. All right. We are heading to First Fires up here, and then we'll just watch it go. Ooh, there's an enemy spotted. This is interesting. I didn't expect this. There's a bunch of them. Bring it on. The benefits of Storytime mode. As I've said, I'm not really focusing on anything except the critical path, and as a result, a lot of the combat is going to go quickly. I'm not here to show off the combat, I'm here to show off the story as best as I can. Alright, here we are at the keep for the Crucible Knights. I've already talked to this guy before. Yeah, we have. Okay. Now, actually, can you tell me where I need to go? Ooh. This is the headquarters of the Crucible Knights, so it's where we store arms and armor, as well as where many of our soldiers bunk. Commander Cleaver's in the back, making plans, as usual. He scratches a scarred cheek. You'll find the forge at the west end of the building, along with our mastersmith, Dunstan. There's also a shrine to the Golem, if you're the praying type. Alright, that's all. Alright. I haven't talked to him in a while. I can't remember what voice I gave him. Alright, I imagine I want to go up here to the war room. Let's see, we got the barracks, the Shrine of Abaddon. Ooh, the Shrine of Abaddon. I bet you there's something cool in there. Let's do that. I love Abaddon as one of the deities in this game. He's so interesting, and he's got a really good history. Actually, look at that. Daily affirmations of focus and efficiency. One, I would say it's probably like the scripture. If you were to say that there's a book in the game that is Abaddon scripture, it would be that game. Wonder what this is. This is the symbol of Abaddon, a colossal smithing hammer imposed over a circular gear. It's smooth and bright with buffing oils. So here we got, look at that, the symbol of Abaddon. Hammer in front of a gear. Cool stuff. Nothing on the altar to steal. That's probably for the best. I don't imagine I'm playing as a rogue character this time. Actually, I'm not. I'm a chanter. Because a chanter likes lore, and I do a lore podcast, The World of Eora. Check it out today. Shameless plug.
We just don't have the manpower.
Yeah, of course you don't, Commander Cleaver. Clever, Commander.
Refugees from every corner of the Deerwood. The dozens getting them all riled up about animancy. At this rate, we'll need twice the soldiers to patrol Defiance Bay. Yes? Can I help you with something?
It sounds a little bit like Durance, in my opinion, here. Alright, let's see what... I should probably say something here. I understand that the Crucible Knights are attending the animancy hearings at the palace.
Indeed. Duke Avar looks to the Knights for prudent counsel as well as defense. I suspect our future as a city and a nation will depend in no small part on how we handle this matter.
Well, what do you think about animancy? We'd be fools not to investigate it further. I've seen what those researchers in Brackenbury can do, building constructs, diagnosing soul maladies, harnessing raw essence. There's great potential. Detractors say that it's too dangerous, that it angers the gods. Superstition and nonsense. There are risks to delving into souls, of course, but the greater risk lies with doing nothing at all while the legacy eats away at us. Legacy refers to the Hollowbone crisis that's going on in this world, for those who are new. Listen, I need an audience with Duke Avar, and I'd like to attend the hearings. He arches an eyebrow. If you want a favor, you better be prepared to pay your dues. And lately, I've been having personnel issues.
Fleetbreaker Castle. The High Justice has summoned almost half of my novitiates, and more of my justiciars to a keep on the other side of New Haomar. It's not for me to question the High Justice's orders, but it's left us short-handed. And mark me, we're just a couple sparks away from anarchy.
I love how when you get a statement like this, there's all these words that are specific to this world. Fleetbreaker Castle, Justiciar, New Haomar, High Justice Orders. So, some things here are a little bit new, or at least for those of you here. These 5 options are the dialogue options I have here. These words like benevolent, rational, and cruel, those are the type of choice I am making. So this is a benevolent option, this is the rational option, and that raises my ranking in those dispositions. As well, in this case, it tells me whether or not I am going to gain or lose reputation with a particular faction. So in this case, I would gain some slight positive reputation with the Knights of the Crucible, which is what I want right now, considering I want them to advocate for me being at the hearings. So, I'm also kind of playing as a benevolent character. Well, go figure. Ooh, but I am also playing as a clever character. This will be more fun. Let's see. What's wrong? Can't keep a bunch of disparate, homeless, half-starved civilians in line? And I suppose you know how to defend an entire city? How to patrol it with your forces at half strength? How to police agitated masses without inciting them to violence? He takes a step closer while his officers look on silently. If you dragged yourself all the way over here just to blow hot air, then you've got time to do something constructive. Forge Master Dunstan is working with an animancy scholar to build what we're calling Forge Knights, warriors that can patrol our streets without suffering fatigue, disobedience, or fear. Some agitator throws a rock at them, we don't have to worry about things getting out of hand. He's constructed the armor, but we need the scholar's research. Unfortunately, she hasn't been around the last few times. My novitiates have checked. Viana lives with the rest of the Scriveners out in Copper Lane, but I haven't the soldiers to spare at the moment. Go to the Scrivener's dormitory and see if you can find her. When you get the research, just bring it to Dunstan. This is his area of expertise anyway. Once you've brought him the research, he can sell you any arms or armor if you have need. He forges and repairs all of our equipment. You won't find a more capable smith in Defiance Bay. Was there something else I can do for you? Okay, well, about that invitation to the animancy hearings? Have you found Viana's research for Dunstan? We can discuss favors once you've proven yourself. Alright, goodbye. Go to Scrivener's dormitory in Copper Lane. Sounds good, my fellow. We will just go over here and head that way. Later, buddy. See ya. Right, heading over to Scrivener's dormitory, which, by looking at the map, I know is right here. Yeah, look at that little console. The halls of revealed mysteries. Limdalla's house. Should probably pay attention. Find Vienna or Vienna. Vienna? Vienna. I don't know. Let's see what kind of stuff.
Laying
I'm
low.
gonna steal here. Let's sneak around. Yoink! Those are my coins now. Spilled tea, empty ink pots, and one detailed sketch of a fire-breathing old dwarf, all that remains of a long study session. Sneaking. I'm always sneaking. He doesn't seem to care. Alright. Hello, Koren.
Well met, friend.
By Wild's eyeless face, or Walls, sorry, by Wall's eyeless face, you are one short ogre. But why are you green? And how are you getting the ducks to keep flying around you like that? What are you talking about? Your ducks, your green skin. Should I speak louder? Slower? Let me know. He beams at you and nods his head. You're a scrivener? He nods. Yes, I am a scrivener! I read books, I write books. I once ate a book, but only because it looked like sweet pie. Or perhaps it was sweet pie, baked to look like a book. Interesting. Oh, I'm also a collector of herbs. Flowers, plants, I sell them. Mostly, I eat them. You should show me what you got for sale. Oh, this is the first time, apparently, I have used a store. I don't usually buy stuff in games. I don't know why, it's just not something that really catches my attention. I'm wondering what this guy ate to put him in such a mood. Carogolin, what is this? Made from a sacred and uncommon plant that grows deep in Arglanfath. Carogolin is the name given to a mixture typically used solely for ceremonial purposes, or else by warriors going to important battles. It is said to opens one awareness to one's place in the world, raising one's ability to recognize and react to threats. You know, if I was more familiar with the drug trade here in the world of Eora, I could tell you which one of these things this guy's is smoking, but I don't know which one it is. Sorry, y'all. Alright.
Gods keep you.
Anyways, I'm looking for Vienna. I like Vienna. She's always talking about metal men, which is strange, since I'm pretty sure she doesn't eat Snowcap. His brow wrinkles. I don't talk about metal men, either, and I do eat Snowcap. Huh. Anyway, she's not here right now. Flew away to Undra's gift to meet her friend Bezia. No, Clesia. Yes, Clesia. Clesia is the friend she's gone to meet in Undra's gift. In a house, not a boat. North house. An empty house. Andra's gift has a lot of boats. We should go rowing sometime. He beams at you and nods his head. Hey, tell me more about this dormitory while I'm here. It's where the scriveners who work in the Hall of Revealed Mysteries sleep. I'm a scrivener. He sniffs. This place smells like old stocking. Huh. What an interesting place. I want to explore more. I want to see what else we find here. Sturdy bunks atop the thin blankets and even thinner mattresses. Thinner mattresses than the blankets? Oof.
A simple test. That's settled.
Oop. Shh. Probably sneak if I'm going to steal. Snowcap. I bet you this is what it is. It's instant effects. Remove Snowcap crash. Immunity confused. Defense against charmed and dominated. Ooh. The Snowcap mushrooms are known to be dangerous, for improperly treated samples are akin to poison. Once properly prepared, however, they can propel individuals into a trance-like state in which it is claimed many have received visions and portents of significance. The mushrooms feature primarily in important Glenfathan rituals, for their elders hold the secrets behind their safe use. Okay. So the guy's doing mushrooms. Good to know. Oh, man. What happens? What happens to me if I partake of the mushroom? We also have a deer cap. And we also have the Burned Lady. And the Settler's Arrow. Yeah, none of this sounds as fun. I don't know what I'm endorsing right now with all this, but, you know, I'm just doing this for funsies. I don't see it. I just grabbed some. Aha!
Yes?
Let's see here. No, I haven't tried this before. Who did I give it to? All right. Well, that was uneventful.
Strange place for a shrine to Abaddon, Crucible Keep. Maybe it made more sense at some point before it gathered all that dust. And the only thing the Knights of the Crucible worship these days is the nobility, as far as I understand it.
I knew some soldiers who got recruited by the Knights after the war was over. They told me about it. They get these young kids in there and they tell them about blacksmithing and about revolution and about tradition. Talk about the Golem like he created the Crucible Knights and is forged to go win Deerwood's independence. And then they join. And it turns out all any of those knights ever talks about is where are we going to get recognized as a real knighthood. When are we going to get our titles in our land? Their High Justice wants to be an earl. Says it's Abaddon's will. He's got a castle and an army. You wonder how long he'll wait before he starts a war of it, saying Abaddon told him so. Hey, for all we know, maybe Abaddon is telling him to. It wouldn't be the first time a god inspired his followers to make the mess of things. It makes you wonder if we'd all been better off not listening to them.
As you wish.
Hey.
The sturdy bunks are topped with thin blankets and even thinner mattresses. We already knew that. Give me something new. Vienna's diary. This actually might be useful. This looks like the diary belonging to someone named Vienna. The latest entry bears yesterday's date. Clesia, hey, look at that, the guy got it right. Arrives tomorrow, the way we parted after her last visit. I didn't think she'd return. When I received the letter from Ozia, I expected the worst. The distance has been hard for her, and my focus on my research hasn't made things easier. Tomorrow, none of that will matter. The things we said, the things we didn't say, I'll have the chance to make it up to her. I wish we had more privacy here, but for now, that old house on the north side of Andra's gift is still empty. Hey, look, you got it right. Not an empty house. I'm going to take this. Why? Because why not? A rancid stench arises from the basin. The dishes at the top of the pile are flecked with morsels of meat. Interesting. I don't feel like taking anything from there. And no. Cool. Well, that's enough of that. All right. Delightful. Now we want to head to Andra's gift. I can get there from First Fires. I really want to check this out. The Hall of Revealed Mysteries, but yeah, I think it might be a quest that brings me there later. I'll check it out later. Critical Path.
Right. I'll grant you that animancy has had its failures, Balreach among them. But does that warrant attacks on innocent practitioners? Superstitious kith have spilled their share of blood.
That's no comparison. Animancers have the advantage of education, and with that comes authority and responsibility.
I have to say, it's wonderful to have someone to debate with. You'd think they'd be more welcoming of it at the Law College.
Or we could enjoy a glass of wine and a comfortable silence.
Delightful. Abandoned house, Colfedge house, Ada's house, abandoned house, Heritage Hill. I'm guessing it's abandoned house. What delightful interaction between my companions and compatriots. Just getting along, chatting it up. I'm just sitting here looting mead. Refugee, Justiciar, refugee. The grimy windows have been papered over from the inside. Let us see what's inside, shall we? Addict. Not what I was looking for. I think. A dozen tiny somethings squirm within the pot of rice. Ew. Anything worth stealing? Ooh, Svef. I think this is drugs. Svef can be traced back to provisions in the Valian republics, where the markets for the plant in question enjoy rapidly rising demand. Most commonly chewed or inhaled, Svef is infamous for the near catatonic state in which it often places its adherents. Those who use it claim that the drug gives them a sense of urgency and meaning, lost while the effects fade. More colorful accounts claim that the drug allows one to look within themselves and witness the sight of their own soul. Fun. What are you doing here? This is our place. Vienna. Vienna. I'm just gonna take these campfire supplies. Vienna, you in here? You in here? Nope, not in there. Vienna! I have a sudden urge to quick save. Click. Well, I saw your name there for a second. Dodwina? As you enter the room, you see several figures huddled together. They stand at attention, armed, but not in matched gear like the Crucible Knights. At the center of the group, one woman looms over another, holding a flail. She snarls at the cowering figure. You've got pages of research here. You expect me to believe this was just your scratch work? It's nothing, I promise. Just my notes. You hear a painful smack as the woman backhands her captive. We know you were meeting with the Crucible Knights. You think they're the only ones with power in this city? They call us the Dozens for a reason. Now, I won't ask you again. At a nudge from one of her men, the woman turns and sees you watching. Her eyes narrow. You shouldn't be here. What's going on here? She tightens her grip on her flail. Nothing you need to know about. Ooh, combat time. What do we got? Mercenary, companion, mercenary, Dodwina, mercenary, mercenary. Bring it. Vienna's face is covered in bruises, and her eyes are wide with shock and relief. I don't know who you are, but thank you. Rapid hitching breathing punctuate her words. I was sure they were going to kill me. She wipes a tear from her cheeks, wincing as her knuckles grazes a bruise. What just happened here? I thought I was coming here to meet my, friend from the Republics. It looks like I walked into a trap. She shakes her head. The Dozens must have been watching me for a while. I'd been working on a special project for the Crucible Knights, and they weren't exactly subtle about contacting me. Tell me about yourself. I studied animancy in Ozaya back in the Valian Republics. I came to Defiance Bay to research local advances, but instead of going to Brackenberry Sanitarium, I've found a position as a scrivener in the Temple of Wow. I've had access to many rare manuscripts that most animances never see. She shrugs. Of course, I've had to keep my head down. I've been careful not to let the head librarian or my colleagues know what I'm working on. Well, tell me about this project. It deals with a rather rare branch of animancy. No offense, but I probably shouldn't get too specific without Commander Cliver's permission. He commissioned it, after all. She laughs nervously, and as you can see, a little indiscretion has gotten me into. She nods on a split lip. Commander Cliver of the Crucible Knights is waiting on my research. Not that you haven't already done a lot for me, but maybe you could take it to him? I kept it with me to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands, but yes, you can see how well that worked out. She nods at Dodwina's corpse. She took it from me when I arrived. She takes a deep breath. Anyhow, don't wait on me. I can make my way out of here. Look at all the stuff I can have, including a unique piece of armor. Unique heavy armor. Aru Breaker. Aru Breaker? This robust brigandine has... Is it brigandine? Brigandine? I'm embarrassing myself, but whatever. Has been repeatedly reinforced by the Adirian adventurer who once owned it. Thickly padded, the armor was dubbed Aru Breaker, which means arrow breaker. It served the adventurer well until her fame and fortune made her grow complacent, and she allowed an opponent to get too close. While Arrowbreaker protected her from projectiles, it didn't provide the same protection against a mace to the side of the head. Oh, wow. My guess is that Arrowbreaker here, this unique piece of armor, was, well, worn by this Adirian adventurer who probably fought in the War of Defiance, I'm guessing, and then was killed by someone with a mace who was fighting on the Deerwooden side, and now Dodwina has it. I'm guessing that, or that she defected. Who knows? Ooh. Viana's research. These pages contain Viana's research on Ingwithian techniques for imbuing matter with essence. She appears to have developed a method based on her studies of animats. On the first page is a note to someone named Dunstan. It's definitely what we're looking for. Imbuing matter with essence. Essence is the stuff that souls are made out of. So, like, your body is made up of matter, which is made, carbon, usually. Essence is the stuff that souls are made of. And in this case, she is trying to, looks like, imbue essence into matter. So, for example, placing a soul within an object. So it's like a soul-bound object. Let's take all this stuff here. Loot this little body over here that was out of range. And I'll take the hammer and chisel.
Of course.
What's this? The water in the pail is murky with blood. Cool. Alright. I guess we can head out of here. And go on to the Crucible's Knights peoples. That was a really eloquent way of putting it. Heritage Hill's closer. Let's go here. Ooh, actually, I saw something over here that I don't know why I ran past it, but I want to go check this out. This is always fun. Don't spend your whole time playing this game doing this if you pick it up for yourself, but every now and then stop and do it. These gold-plated dialogues, these were stories that were made for people who backed Pillars of Eternity back when it was doing its Kickstarter phases. And so we have Branwen Gwyn here and Asuna Haimyo. I'm closer to Branwen right now, so let's go with that. So this will be a story, has nothing to do with the overarching story of the game we're playing, but it's just a fun little narrative, a fun little history that they did in honor of the people who backed the game on Kickstarter. So it's just fun to see what kind of stuff. As you near, you feel a vibrant history contained in the essence of this woman's soul. Voices from the past seem to call out to you. As a watcher, if you haven't been paying attention to these Let's Plays, I have the capacity to reach into a person's soul and look at memories from their past lives. So let's see what this person got up to in a previous life. You see a young woman standing against the backdrop of a wide, grassy plain. Her face is all silver and shadow in the moonlight, and she looks down at the wooden raft at her feet. An older woman lies on the raft, her arms crossed over her chest, and her eyes closed in death. Her face is the same dark gray as the younger woman's, and her head bears the same curving protuberances. But that is where the resemblance ends. The younger woman takes a pendant from the older woman's neck and ties it around her own. The platinum medallion shows a crescent moon engulfed by a curling wave, the symbol of the goddess Andra. The young woman pushes the raft from the grassy beach into the tide. She stands in the surf and watches it disappear, a silvered tear rolling down her cheek. That clearly tells the story of this moon godlike person who also knew another moon godlike person, and I guess was giving her a funeral. Aww. Onward. I don't know what happens when you talk to a courtesan. You look like you want to have a good time, honey, and I'm all open for business. And they could have done better than that. Now, if it was a Vithrak, that would have been hilarious. The Vithrak, if you're not aware, it's basically a spider-human psionic person.
Bring back the feisty one. There's a woman can do some damage squeezing her legs together.
It isn't a parlor trick. Besides, she doesn't take orders well.
She has backbone, that woman. Does it scare you?
No, but I won't be responsible for what happens if you call her whore.
Yeah, just Durance and Aloth fighting. Where was I? Oh yes, a courtesan. As a spider-human psionic person. That would be interesting, to say the least. I don't know why my default voice for the courtesan woman was had a bit of a southern drawl or something. I don't know. It was kind of like my Jody voice if you played Pillars of Eternity 2. I don't know. Maybe that tells me a little bit about myself. Of course, it could just be, I don't know, societal influences. I don't know. Who knows why you pick the things you do, why your brain works the way it does. I'm gonna steal.
Let's see what lies this way.
Campfire stuff.
I can do that.
Pick locks because it gives me experience.
That's settled.
And then I'm gonna steal it because, I already went through all the work. Come on. I earned it. Novitiate Dunstan. This is the man we need to talk to. Tongues of flame lick the forge, hissing with smoke as hot as the dragon's breath. I wonder where I got that frame of reference from. Tongs, hardies, hammers, fullers, and punch tools hang from the wall. They feel heavy and sturdy, but their flame-darkened surfaces testify to frequent use.
If this is about the breastplates, I already told Cleaver they won't be repaired till next week.
It's Cleaver, not Cliver. All right. Let's see. Give him the research. It gives me a little positivity. Commander Cleaver said you're working with an animancer. Okay. Commander Cleaver says you're working with an animancer to build Forge Knights.
So much for his talk of secrecy. I'm building Cleaver's metal warriors. He says they're what we need to keep order in Defiance Bay, so...
How are you creating these Forge Knights? Suits of armor and souls. Cleaver's had me repairing and reinforced unused armor for months now, just so we can fill them with some poor sod's essence. He wipes his shining brow. As long as that scholar girl's got her numbers right, infusing an armor with a soul won't be that hard. But it's not what bothers me. Do you disagree with Cleaver about the Forge Knights? I disagree with him on near about everything, and this is no exception. These Forge Knights won't solve our manpower problem. He can call them whatever he wants, but they aren't knights. He folds his arms and looks at the ground. And don't get me started on the other problem. Those souls he's bought to power the Forge Knights, Cleaver keeps telling himself that they came from willing donors, but he knows better. There's a reason you have to buy souls through less than legal channels. We should be clearing those scavengers off the road, not doing business with them. I want to say goodbye.
I suppose Cleaver's sent you down here to get me working on those Forge Knights, eh?
Here you go. This is what I wanted to do. I think this is what you've been looking for.
That's what Cleaver's been looking for anyway. If you found it, I guess I've got to start.
You don't sound too happy about this. I'm not, and I've made clear to Cleaver that this is a mistake. Trying to harness souls like this is a crime against the gods, and bound to earn us more trouble than it saves. But Cleaver's given me his orders, so I've got to build these things as best I can. This is an Abaddonite, a follower of Abaddon. This is definitely a response from someone who worships and follows Abaddon. Anyway, Cleaver's told me I'm to sell you arms or armor you might want. You won't find anywhere better in Defiance Bay, I can promise you that.
Now, time to see if that Valian was worth all that blood and copper.
He takes a polished breastplate and goes to work. Fade to black.
I'll be
Black to
damned.
fade.
To be honest, even I wasn't expecting it to work this well. Back to it. Cleaver will want me to finish the rest of them. And it sounded like he has a job for you, too.
Show me what you have for sale. Yeah, this is what I want to see, is if there was any unique things. We have Heldrick's coat. Oh, sweet, I don't have to buy it to read the lore. Wonderful. Everything has an item description, but the unique ones here with the gold backing, that has unique history and lore about it. So this is a unique S-stock. It's a two-handed weapon called the White Spire. The White Spire was found among the possessions of a member of the Order of Bleakwalkers. Ooh, Bleakwalkers are an order of paladin. They're typically seen as the evil paladins of the game, but they're not just evil for evil's sake, although they definitely do evil things. But they essentially are paladins they have a philosophy of, if we come in and kill everyone first, then there will be no war. You know, the logic is there, and I suppose maybe there's a good intention there, but you can see why people don't necessarily always like them, or scared to see them on the opposing side of the battlefield. Was found among the possessions of a member of the Bleakwalkers, though it seems to have predated her, so this thing predates even that person. The spiraling engravings upon the blade are flanked by small, finely etched symbols of binding and enchantment, which might be credited with the permanent chill of the metal and the thin dusting of frost upon the S-stock's hilt. Interesting. And then the armor was Heldrick's coat. Unique heavy armor. An anomaly among Rayed Sarans, Heldrick was a renowned explorer. So Heldrick was a person, I'm assuming. If there was a stretch of land that could be trod upon, he endeavored to reach it. He became enamored with the harsh beauty of the white that wends after an early expedition, and resolved to travel there as often as he was able. White that wends is essentially this world's version of Antarctica, except not nearly as inhospitable, because there is an entire set of societies that live there of pale elves, But it is a frozen, hostile wasteland. It's like Canada if it was on steroids. At least a stereotype of Canada. It can get just as hot here as anyone else. I don't know why I lean into the stereotype myself. Accustomed to more temperate climes, climbs? Is that actually a word? Interesting. He pooled the coin he'd gathered, selling exotic artifacts to commission armor, which might protect him against the bitter cold of the southern reaches. I wonder how this coat ended up here. I guess if he was a Raid Saren, maybe he was in the Saints' War, and perhaps someone looted it off his body. Yeah, who knows? All right, onward. Oh, Commander. How may I be of assistance? Okay, now, about that invitation to the Animancy hearings. Cleaver looks up his map again. I appreciate your help in retrieving the Fortnite research, but I still need the plans delivered to the High Justice's courier. I'm afraid I can't address anything else until that's taken care of.
I've made a copy of Viana's research, and the High Justice has sent a courier to Anslog's Compass to retrieve it. The dozens have gotten too active for the courier to come to Defiance Bay, and after Viana's kidnapping, we've got to assume they know about our plans. That's why I'm sending you to deliver the research. You shouldn't be recognizable to the dozens. Yet.
Well, I mean, considering I killed all the ones I've met so far, yeah. We're in the thick of it now, if the High Justice is involved, considering a political career out there. Eric? But after this, I expect they'll learn of your association with us, and they won't be too happy about it. Neither will the Dominels, he snorts. The Dominels, he snorts, as if he actually said that. They're trying to expand the family business, and they resent us for standing in the way. Well, I need to think about this. I can appreciate caution, but just remember where the real power in Defiance Bay lies. We're doing the work of the Duke, after all. Was there something else I could do for you? I just leave. Wordless. So it's at this point that if you are a regular RPG gamer, you would be like, oh no, I want to maximize all the quests that I do, and you would pause this quest line, and you would go to the other factions and you do their quest line. And just like an Obsidian style, eventually, you're going to have to pick a faction and align with it. For the case of Critical Path playthrough, I'm actually just going to align with them. I wonder if that means I have to tell them I'm going to do it. Ugh.
I've made a... Anslog's Compass is a small lagoon just north of Defiance Bay. Your contact will be a commander named Arenroad. She'll meet you by the docks. Return to me when you've finished. The High Justice has made the expansion of the Forge Knights his top priority, which means it's mine as well.
Yep, turns out I didn't need to tell him. Okay, good thing I did that. Travel to Anslog's Compass. Wonderful. So let's go to the map, we'll go to the door, click the button, follow my characters, and just wait. Anslog's Compass is all the way over here, so I have to travel out of Carper Lane, across Idlewind Bridge, into the Woodend Plains, north back to my Caed Nua sweet place, and then over down onto Anslog's Compass. I am, however, going to stop at Caed Nua. Yeah, let's stop by, see what's going on. This is just a stronghold.
Place of ruin. It has long been abandoned.
Notice how, like, if because sometimes the characters banter, you'll notice that the Grieving Mother, whenever she just talks, no one responds. And that is because she has got this psionic veil in front of her. Well, you can't really see it right now, but to everyone else, this is just some random, like, old bag lady that is following us around, and no one's questioning it. Only me, the Watcher, has been able to see her true form. I just got a quest for being here. What was that? This is a side quest. Interesting. Oh, come on. Speak to the messenger in the Great Hall at Caed Nua. I always like to stop at Caed Nua and see who I have, see what's going on here, because this is my keep. I don't think I have anything to do here, actually. No, I do. I should probably... No, okay, it's not all done. Let's see, what else do I need? It requires Western Barbican, which I am currently building, and requires Western Barbican, requires the Bailey, so that's something I should work on. Bright Hollow Restoration. Okay, so if I want to keep up with this, I should build Bailey. Oh, I can't do it at the same time. One thing I want to be able to do, though, is, can I switch my characters here? I can. It's been nice having Grieving Mother around, but I kind of want to have Sagani around.
I will wait in the place of your strength.
There we go. Probably means, yep, I can level up Sagani. Alright, she is growing in survival and stealth, so let's upgrade those. I'm just going to leave that since those points carry over. Ranger abilities. Ooh, swift aim. The ranger gets into a speedy, fluid, offensive rhythm, reducing accuracy. Modal. Defensive bond. Empathic bond between the animal and companion. Cool. Stalker's link. And vicious aim. By lowering attack and reload. Cool. I think I'm going to go with one of the passive ones. I'm going to go with Arrow Sense. Just give her a little defense over distance of ranged attacks. And while I'm here, let's actually have everyone rest. Whoop. You awake to see Durance, his staff held in both of his hands before him. A flame flickers at its top end, casting long shadows across his face as he stares in contemplation. Still, for all the light of the fire, your eyes can't focus on him. Perhaps it is awakening from sleep or a trick of the light, but he seems indistinct, blurred around the edges, everything except for the staff. The staff, he seems to be studying its engravings. As you watch, the engravings glow thinly red, like through the cracks of heat-suffused wood. The lines stream like molten metal, burning along the edges of his staff, then branch out in an intricate series of fiery veins, bunching thickly where his hands clutch the wood, pulsing as if a heartbeat. As you watch, the veins spiral into a dozen separate circles, circles that spiral again until they are arranged in a circle of their own. They pulse, wait, and all is strangely silent. And then, suddenly there is a great light from the fire, a rushing of air, a great flash as you awaken again to see Durance in the same place, still holding his staff, but he is solid, real. He doesn't seem to have noticed you or reacted to what occurred. I can talk to him now.
Thought I felt your eyes on me. Now come the words. I had questions I wanted to ask you.
If doubts and curiosity plague you, you're skinning your knuckles on the wrong door.
I saw something strange, okay? You were sitting by the fire, and I saw a great light from your staff.
Tell me what you saw.
It was a flash, like an explosion, a rushing of air, incredibly bright.
It is the light of the Godhammer you saw.
The Godhammer?
It was a weapon of Deerwood's people, a symbol of their independence. It saved the Deerwood.
What do you know about it?
It brought the Saints' War to an end, knocked a god from his perch. There are few that would deny Aothis overstepped. The Godhammer reminded Aothis of it. You saw its light because I helped shape it, give it life, and release it into the world. Once seen, its glory is almost too bright to be believed, and too bright to be forgotten.
You helped build the Godhammer?
There were 12 of us. We fashioned the weapon, drafted plans for it, prayed for guidance at Ashfall, and it came to me there. Each of us were given a staff made from the forest of black trees around us, glowing with embers and fire far greater than this branch you see now. It felt as if the staff was Margaren's own finger, guiding my hand, guiding the other 11, the shadows of the 12 who would come to stand on the bridge to stop Aothis.
Shadows of the 12?
Even in that stand,
There was a ritual to it. For the 12 that stood on the bridge, there were 12 shadows cast, 12 faithful of Margarin, her fiercest supporters and shapers of the Godhammer.
Durance rests the staff in front of him, and the flame atop it curls for a moment, the light flaring slightly. It splits into a ring of flames, one after the other, until 12 is met.
As 12 held Aethys fast, we 12 unleashed our prayers, and let the Godhammer fall.
Then it blossoms brightly once, and resumes its candle intensity. In the aftermath, the shadows seem sharper in the vicinity, as if they have edges, and you blink to clear your vision. Durance is still staring at the tiny candle-like flame intently.
Shadows cast by the fire of the Godhammer, perhaps. We shared their fate as well in time. Now the spine of the Deerwood is marked by the Godhammer, marked by Margarin.
Durance frowns and moves his gaze from the staff.
What do you mean, shared their fates?
Not all deaths come with stilled breath and stilled heart, or other stilled passions beneath the waste. Some deaths come from silence. The connection we once shared with Margarin, after the light of the Godhammer, it was not the same. It was as if we'd lost our senses, and sense of purpose as well. Instead of victory being welcomed, there was silence, within and without. Not many can claim to have killed a god. It is less a heroic tale than you would think. And such a death, it changed our faith. All faiths, I expect. Doubt followed, and the world changed. I do not believe Margarin was pleased by what we had done.
Why is that?
The world is broken. The wheel stilled. There is sickness in the world's heart. Perhaps the price of crossing a god. Crossing 2 gods. Even as Margarin shaped our hands, perhaps we carried her will farther than was allowed. Just as Widewind did. Saint Widewind. Mortal arrogance to match mortal arrogance. Yet if the world had changed, then I sought to change with it. If I had forgotten some of Margarin's teachings, I would find them again. I would make her see me again.
What did you do?
I remembered Margarin's teachings. How reminders on the flesh were more important than the death of a vessel. And I wondered if killing Aethys, if that had simply set him free. Had it allowed him to escape his punishment and be taken on the wheel? Like a mortal? As I stepped from the now blessed Godhammer Bridge, I thought of Ashfall. I thought of the War of Black Trees. Wondered if I needed to be burned to find myself again. That is Margarin at her heart. At least that is my hope. These are the doubts that befall me. The road to Ashfall is long. Gives one time to think. And if you think long enough, you do not go home. I left without telling anyone, with only the robes I wore at Halgot, my staff, and my name, which is long buried.
Apologies, I meant to read out what happened when you returned to Ashfall. This was his response.
Of my fellow 11 craftsmen, disciples, I know not what happened to them, if they suffered the same doubt as I did. But it was underserved. It was wrong. We had done all that Or had asked. Grab victory from defeat and...
Do you feel as if you betrayed your god?
There is something about being used and cast aside. Perhaps Widewen himself felt it. There at the end, when the hammer struck. To be the proof that your god is hollow as the vessel it inhabits. I tried to find purpose, and avoided all contact with other Magranic priests. Did not seek the walls of Ashfall, and sought to make amends to my god through actions. I joined with the Purges for a time, and not long after came the first signs of the Hollowborn. So many crimes, trespasses, violations. The Salvation. Animancers were another sickness born of the Saints' War. A relapse of innovation, of desperation to heal what we had caused. All seemed worse than before the bridge, not better. And as years passed, the world became even worse still for the victory.
There's a lot in here. The purges, I believe, relate to how basically people were going around and purging Aethasian followers from their culture, because Aethys inhabited Widewind, and killing Widewind, people believe, led to the Hollowborn crisis. Basically, people's logic is, we killed a god, and as retribution for that, now our kids are being born without souls. And so people do not like Aethys or their followers, especially since the Rayed Sarans are all Aethasian followers, and they were responsible for the Saints' War. There's a lot going on in this here. We also learn what Durance's view on animancy is with all of this. But getting to my response, all seemed worth but bridges, not before, as years have passed. The world become even worse still for the victory. And now I see why you call your goddess whore. She jilted you, and you still pine for her. Sweat collects in the sooty creases of his forehead and runs down his ruddy cheeks. It drips from the tip of his nose. His mouth moves, but his utterances make no sound. He is, for once, at a loss. Feeling your gaze, he quickly composes himself, wiping his forehead with the back of a dirty hand.
Huh? Worship the whims of some fickle bitch, and you'll never be more than dirt beneath her feet. Worship what she worships, on the other hand. Take her fire for your own, and her esteem comes on its own. Of course, by that time you no longer need it. Trial and transformation, sure as Durance taught.
Durance glares at you, and staring into his eyes gives you the feeling of peering over the edge of a great cliff.
You think to put the coals to my feet, but what's burned once will never burn again. These talks are your trial, Watcher. You cannot deflect the truth to one who has already been purified by it.
Okay, tell me what happened on the bridge. We chose the bridge because we could control it.
Durance's hands tighten at the top of his staff, as if holding it by the neck.
It was a place where we could choke Aethys in his own footsteps, where we knew his feet would fall, a narrow neck of stone. But it was more than that. It was a spine of the deerwood, symbolic of its backbone. Such symbols are important in the construction of a weapon.
Durance studies his staff, his eyes traveling along the etchings.
Any weapon.
Durance's face hardens, and his eyes burn, his eyebrows narrowing.
I suspect Aethys knew that as well, and so did his vessel, in its arrogance.
His hands tightens on the staff.
He intended to walk upon the bridge as if walking on the backs of the deerwood. And we intended to burn him with the light of our faith, and his. 12 on the bridge, 12 in the shadow, and gave ourselves to it.
Wait, gave yourselves to it?
We put much of ourselves into the Godhammer. Such a device is not simply a machine. There are elements of the spirit in it. Even Widewind's spirit.
Elements of the spirit?
Each of the 12 who brought the Godhammer forth would have done anything to save the Deerwood, save its people. It is why we were chosen. Each of us hated this pretender. That rage, that spirit, that rebellion went into our work, and went into studying him as well.
Widewind? Why?
We all studied Widewind. He was our enemy, and he had provided the flesh the god wore as a cloak. That flesh made him vulnerable. I knew what fields his hands had tilled, his family, what he had harvested, where he had been born. We sought to know him, what had led him to fight us.
Why was that important?
You don't kill the god. You kill the man it inhabits. and you leave that man a ruin. Burn him to ash. The weapon was meant to not only burn his flesh, but it would burn his soul. And it did. At the cost of our own, and at the cost of our goddess's favor. That whore be damned.
Is that why your image was blurred in the dream?
Durance frowns, glances at you with a sharp look.
Perhaps your eyes were blinded by the Godhammer's light, Watcher.
He snorts.
I may feel half a man at times, but even that is twice that most of others.
If you fear for my spirit, your fears are baseless. The Godhammer, seeing its light, only fueled my anger and made me stronger, made me re-examine the teachings of Margarin, put them in a new light.
It looks as if there was only part of you, as if your spirit had been sheared in half.
I do not need you to cast any more questions on me, Watcher. Nor did I ask you to look upon me without my leave. Get gone, and leave me be.
End dialogue. Cool. Progressing along the side quest for Durance, where we get to know him a little more. That was quite the lore dump just there, where we learned, oh boy, Durance, this dude here, helped create the Godhammer bomb, which destroyed Widewind, which apparently also destroyed the god Aethys inside it. And in order to do that, they had to give a little bit of their soul, it sounds like, as well as procure a little bit of Widewind's soul in order to do it.
Hey.
And now, as a result of following what he thought was his goddesses, which is Magrid, following her will, being the goddess of fire and war, he now is like, he feels cut off from her. There's like not a communion between him and his god, which for those who practice a faith, like that is the ultimate desolation. And I mean, like in a lot of religious circles, that would be considered what hell would be, depending on, you know, the faith and what their description of a hell might be. Not being able to commune or know your god, like that's a big deal in this kind of setting and this kind of world and that kind of experience. So there was a lot there. And well, I think I've gone well over an hour for terms of recording. That little exchange here between me and Durance took a little longer. As well, practicing the voice for Durance and doing the voice for my character has dried my throat out extensively. So I will be ending this episode here, where we have taken everyone, we've met up at Cadnua, our stronghold, as we venture forth to go to Enslog's Compass, where we will hand over Viana's research to somebody there for the Crucible Knights, so they can make their kind of like autonomous soul-infused knights, the Forge Knights. That will gain favor with them, which hopefully will allow me to go to the main keep here in First Fires and attend a hearing on animancy. Yeah. And one step closer to Theos and the Leaden Key. But let us call it there. Before we close out, like I always like to do, is go into the inventory to see if there are any books that we can read on the lore of the world. And there is indeed. We picked one up. Let's see, where would it be? It would be in here. The Daily Affirmations of Focus and Efficiency. This here is a book of 9 virtues that are beheld by the people who follow Abaddon. Abaddon being one of the gods of Eora, which you can see right... Let's see if there's a photo. There is not. Abaddon is god of golems, machines, industry, strength, hope, and aspiration. He is actually the quote-unquote the golem that we've been hearing about. So, this is essentially his scripture. This is his Bible book. This is what they believe, people who follow the god Abaddon. Now let's go through it. All errors can be reforged into lessons. Abaddon rebuilt himself from ruin. No setback is insurmountable, not even death itself, so long as the soul is dedicated to the task. Abaddon rebuilt himself from ruin. That's part of his history where he was destroyed and kind of rebuilt himself. So all errors can be reforged into lessons. 2. Work hard, work well. Abaddon demands only honest labor and forthright service. All errors can be reforged into your first intention if your first intentions are pure. You see that a lot for people who follow Abaddon, that you have the something can be reforged into something. That motif happens a lot through this. All arrogance can be reforged into knowledge. There's that motif again. Master your craft. Excel at what you have been trusted to do. Do not offend your teacher by remaining a student forever. Each generation must forge its successors. Teach your trade to all who are willing to learn, and in doing so, multiply the fruits of your knowledge. All difficulties can be reforged into triumphs. Yet again, there's that motif. Meet strife with humility and acceptance. Acceptance? Yes, meet strife with humility and acceptance. Let adversity temper the ingot of your will, and you will never shatter. Embrace your station, fulfill the duties of your rank, and meddle not in the affairs of your betters. All guilds fail at their weakest link. All loss can be reforged into strength. Profitable work heals all emptiness. So long as you have the tools of your trade, you will always be able to forge wealth anew. Value the works of others, and they will value your works in return. Share the harvest with the hungry, and your tools with the destitute. And lastly, all souls can be reforged into whatever we will. Hard work is not exclusive to life. Death is no time for complacency. Commit yourselves to excellence in this cycle and the next. So there we have daily affirmations of focus and efficiency. If you want to learn more about some of these, like I've kind of gone over time now, so I'm not going to go into each one. But if you follow my podcast, The World of Eora, where we dive into the lore, I do an episode about Abaddon, the god, and I go through this and I comment on each one of these things. There's a lot of value and virtue, I would say, in these 9 daily affirmations that I think that if you apply in your real life, actually, like some of this has value to it that I think would help improve it. So I'm not saying I'm going to found my own religion over this, but no, it's pretty cool to hear. Well, I like Abaddon. He's one of my favorite gods. But yeah, that's today's episode. Thanks everyone for joining with me. If you want to get a hold of me, you can follow me on Twitter through Gingereno42. That's Gingereno 42. And yes, for those of you who are keen nerds, you will know that that is a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference. If you want to reach me, you can email me worldofeora@gmail.com for my podcast specific one, or my more personal email, but I don't check as often, Gingereno42@gmail.com. I'm looking for any feedback about this Let's Play or about the lore, or if you just want to ask questions or start a discussion. I love talking to people about this game. So thanks everyone for watching. I hope you join me on the next episode where we go to deliver Viana's research. And I will catch you guys next time. Huntress gift is where I'm going, yeah.